Most men over 50 think their slowing circulation, fading energy, and stiff morning joints are signs of aging. But the real shock is this. Many of these problems have nothing to do with age at all. They're symptoms of an electrical system inside your body running on dangerously low charge. And the fastest way to restore it is not medication, not a new diet, but a simple mineral combination you can add to a glass of water. And for more than 30 years, I've studied men's health, vitality, and the biology of aging. I've treated thousands of men across the country, and the truth I'm about to share has transformed patients who thought their best days were gone forever. Because what if the real reason you feel slower isn't your age, but a mineral imbalance silently draining your circulation, your stamina, and even your clarity? What if your body has been asking for something incredibly simple and you just never knew it? Today, I'm going to show you how adding the right form of magnesium and sodium to your daily water can recharge your cells, improve blood flow, sharpen your mind, and bring back a sense of vitality you may not have felt in years. And in a moment, I'll explain the surprising reason plain water may be leaving older men underhydrated and underpowered, and why this overlooked mineral duo is becoming the quiet secret behind healthier, stronger men over 60. Before we get started, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now and tap the bell so you never miss another science-backed tip designed specifically for men over 50. Your feedback helps me shape every message I share, so after watching, type 1 in the comments if this resonates with you, or type 0 if there's something you'd like me to explain better next time. 1. Your circulation isn't failing, it's simply undercharged. For more than 3 decades, I've listened to men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s tell me the same story in different words. They say their legs feel heavier, their walks feel shorter, and their energy doesn't carry them through the day the way it used to. Some describe a quiet pressure in their chest when climbing stairs. Others talk about a new kind of fatigue that settles into their muscles like a weight they can't shake. And almost always they look at me with a mixture of resignation and embarrassment, as if they've already accepted this as the unavoidable march of age. But here's the truth I wish every man knew earlier in life. Circulation doesn't fail overnight, and it doesn't fail because the calendar changed. It weakens because the electrical system inside your body, the system that tells every cell when to contract, when to relax, and when to deliver oxygen, slowly runs out of charge. When magnesium levels drop, your arteries stiffen. When sodium becomes imbalanced, the electrical communication between your heart and blood vessels loses precision, and once those signals weaken, your body begins to feel like it's slowing down from the inside out. I've had men tell me they felt like someone had quietly dimmed the lights in their body and they didn't know how to turn them back on. But when we address this electrical deficit, when we bring magnesium and sodium back into balance and back into their daily water, something remarkable happens. Their legs feel lighter. Their hands warm again. Their steps become steadier. They tell me the world feels a little brighter, a little more alive. That is not magic. That is power restored. And if this is what happens when your circulation begins to wake up, wait until you see what changes when your energy, your true internal battery, finally starts to recharge. 2. The hidden reason older men feel tired isn't age. It's mineral depletion. Over the years, I've had countless men sit in my office and tell me they feel tired in a way they can't quite explain. They talk about a heaviness that settles in before noon, a mental fog that makes simple decisions feel strangely difficult, or a quiet frustration when they realize they no longer have the strength or spark they once relied on without thinking. Many of them whisper that they feel embarrassed, as if fatigue is a personal failure. Others simply shrug and say, "Doc, I guess this is what getting older looks like." But every time I hear those words, I feel the weight of how often men misinterpret their body's signals. Because what they're describing isn't age, it's deficit. It's the slow, steady drain of minerals their cells once had in abundance. Your body runs on electrical impulses, tiny sparks that allow your heart to beat, your muscles to contract, and your brain to stay sharp. But those sparks rely on charged minerals, especially magnesium and sodium, to fire correctly. As men age, stress, medications, dehydration, and declining absorption slowly strip those minerals away. And without them, the body begins to behave like a device running on the last few percent of battery. It dims. It hesitates. It conserves. I've watched men go from feeling defeated to feeling alive again simply by restoring the minerals their bodies were quietly begging for. Their afternoons stop collapsing into exhaustion. Their focus sharpens. Their motivation returns. They look at me with surprise as if they had been given back a part of themselves they assumed was gone forever. That shift isn't about youth. It's about chemistry restored, energy reconnected, and vitality returning to its proper place. But if mineral depletion can steal your energy, wait until you understand what happens when one overlooked mineral holds the key to unlocking the very molecule your blood vessels depend on for strength and flow. 3. Magnesium unlocks nitric oxide, your body's natural circulation booster. One of the most common worries older men share with me isn't fatigue or stiffness. It's the quiet fear that their circulation simply isn't what it used to be. They describe colder hands, slower walks, weaker stamina, or a sense that their body just doesn't respond with the same strength or confidence. Some talk about intimacy feeling different, not because of desire, but because their circulation doesn't rise to the moment the way it once did. And beneath those words, I can often hear something deeper, a fear that this decline is permanent. But the truth is far more hopeful than most men realize. Much of what they're experiencing isn't due to age, but to a missing ingredient in the chemistry of blood flow. You see, nitric oxide is the molecule your blood vessels rely on to relax, widen, and deliver oxygen efficiently. It is the very signal that tells your arteries, open up, let the blood move. But nitric oxide doesn't appear out of thin air. Your body needs magnesium to produce it. Without magnesium, that signal becomes faint, unreliable, or completely silent. I've had patients tell me it felt as if their circulation had been slowly turning to stone, yet within weeks of restoring magnesium, they felt warmth return to their fingers, strength return to their steps, and confidence return to parts of their life they thought were fading for good. Magnesium doesn't create youth. It restores responsiveness. It brings flexibility back to vessels that have become rigid from years of depletion. It turns a struggling system into one that finally remembers how to function the way it once did. I've seen men's faces change when they realized their body wasn't failing, only starving for the mineral that makes nitric oxide come alive. But if magnesium can awaken the very signals that drive blood flow, the next discovery is even more surprising. The mineral many men fear the most might actually be the one their electrical system has been desperately missing. 4. Sodium isn't the enemy. It's the conductor of your body's electrical system. If there is one mineral that has been misunderstood more than any other, it's sodium. For decades, men have walked into my office almost apologizing for how much salt they use, convinced that every pinch is pushing them closer to heart trouble. I can't count how many times I've seen a patient proudly tell me he cut out all sodium because he wanted to be healthier, only to wonder why he suddenly felt weaker, foggier, dizzier, or more fatigued than ever before. And every time I find myself explaining something that surprises almost everyone. Sodium isn't the villain. In the right amount, and especially when paired with magnesium, it becomes one of the most essential tools for electrical stability inside the body. You see, your heart doesn't beat because of muscle alone. It beats because of electricity. Your nerves don't fire because of willpower. They fire because charged minerals create the signals that allow every contraction, every heartbeat, every movement, and sodium is the mineral that conducts that entire symphony. When sodium levels fall too low, your electrical system begins to misfire. Men often describe it as feeling unsteady on their feet, losing mental clarity, or experiencing a sudden drop in strength they can't explain. Some even say they feel disconnected from their own body, as if something inside isn't firing correctly anymore. What they're feeling is the loss of electrical tone, a system struggling to operate without its conductor. But when sodium is replenished intentionally, not through processed foods, but through proper hydration, It steadies the heart rhythm, sharpens mental focus, restores muscle responsiveness, and brings back the sense of grounding. Older men often think they've lost forever. I've watched men who felt fragile regain confidence simply by restoring the mineral balance their cells were missing. And when sodium joins forces with magnesium, something remarkable happens. Hydration becomes electrical again, and the body begins to function with a clarity and strength many men haven't felt in years. But if sodium is the conductor and magnesium is the activator, just wait until you understand how the two together can transform the very foundation of your heart and arteries, protecting you from one of the most overlooked forms of aging that silently affects millions of men. 5. The magnesium-sodium duo helps protect your heart from aging stiffness. One of the most common changes I see in men over 60 is something they rarely notice at first. It isn't dramatic chest pain or a racing heartbeat. It's a slow tightening, a subtle rigidity in the arteries that makes the heart work just a little harder every year. Some men describe it as pressure when they walk uphill, others say they feel a heaviness in their chest when they lie down, and many don't recognize it at all until fatigue, shortness of breath, or reduced stamina begins creeping into their daily life. What's happening inside their body is what I call aging stiffness, the gradual loss of flexibility in the vascular system. It's not just uncomfortable. It's one of the strongest predictors of long-term heart complications in older men. But here's the part that gives so many of my patients hope. This stiffness isn't entirely permanent. In fact, much of it is driven by mineral imbalance, especially when magnesium and sodium fall below optimal levels. Magnesium relaxes the smooth muscle lining of your arteries, helping them open and adjust to changes in pressure. Sodium helps maintain the fluid balance and electrical signaling that keep blood flowing with stability. When these two minerals work together, they create a balance that supports your heart rather than burdening it. I've seen men who thought their heart was getting old discover that what they were really feeling was the weight of depletion. When we restore magnesium and sodium intentionally through proper hydration rather than salty foods, the shift can be profound. Blood pressure steadies, circulation strengthens, and many men tell me they feel lighter inside their chest as if something had finally unclenched after years of tension. They walk farther, they breathe easier, they regain a sense of physical confidence they assumed belonged to a younger version of themselves. And if restoring the flexibility of your arteries feels powerful, the next discovery is even more striking, because the real transformation happens when you realize hydration itself may be failing you, and that your body needs something far more precise to bring back the vitality you've been missing. 6. Most men don't need a new diet or a new lifestyle. They need better hydration chemistry. For years, I've watched older men try everything they can think of to feel stronger and more energetic. Some change their diet, others push themselves through workouts that leave them more exhausted than revived, and many simply accept that their body doesn't respond the way it used to. They tell me they're drinking more water than ever, carrying bottles everywhere, refilling them throughout the day, yet still feeling tired, stiff, or foggy. And that's when I have to share something most men have never been told. As you age, plain water is often not enough. Your cells lose their ability to pull in water efficiently unless the right minerals are present to drive that absorption. Without those minerals, especially magnesium and sodium, you're drinking, but not truly hydrating. I've had men explain that they feel dehydrated even when they drink constantly, describing dry mouth, cramping legs, weaker balance, or a strange sense that their muscles don't respond the way they once did. And every time, the underlying issue is the same. Their hydration lacks chemistry. Water needs electrical partners to move into your cells and stay there. When magnesium helps relax your tissues and sodium helps regulate the movement of fluid and charge, hydration becomes something entirely different. It becomes usable. It becomes restorative. For many older men, this is the moment their body begins to feel steady again. Their mornings stop feeling like uphill climbs. Their muscles loosen. Their mind feels sharper, more anchored. They tell me they feel like they've been plugged back in, as if their body can finally hold a charge again. You don't need to overhaul your diet. You don't need a punishing exercise routine. What you truly need is water that works with your biology, not against it. And once men experience this shift, they often ask me the same question with a spark they haven't had in years. If hydration chemistry can do this much, what other simple changes have I been overlooking that could help me feel alive again? Final thoughts. Reclaiming strength through simplicity. As I look back on the thousands of men I've treated over the past 3 decades, what strikes me most is not how different their stories are, but how profoundly similar their struggles become as the years pass. A slow decline in circulation, a fading spark of energy, the quiet frustration of feeling dehydrated despite drinking water all day, the discouraging sense that their body is slipping out of their control. And yet, beneath those frustrations lies something far more encouraging. So much of what they fear is not permanent. It is not a sentence passed down by age. It is the consequence of a body that has been undercharged, underhydrated, and undersupported for far too long. When men begin replenishing magnesium and sodium intentionally, when they add these minerals to their water with purpose instead of fear, they begin to feel something they often haven't felt in years. Possibility. Their legs feel lighter, their thoughts clear, their sleep deepens, their vitality returns in ways they stopped expecting. I've watched men who felt defeated rediscover energy they thought had vanished forever. I've seen them take longer walks, wake with more optimism, reconnect with activities they once loved, and approach each day with a steadiness they didn't realize they were missing. This transformation doesn't come from drastic diets or punishing routines. It comes from restoring the basic electrical chemistry the body depends on to function at its best. What I want every man over 60 to understand is this: your body is not done. It is not finished growing, responding, strengthening, or surprising you. The spark is still there. The engine is still capable. The potential for renewal is still alive inside you. And sometimes all it takes is correcting one overlooked imbalance to remind your body how to operate with confidence again. Magnesium and sodium may seem simple, but simplicity is the heart of good biology. It is the foundation of strength, resilience, and longevity. It is the difference between surviving your later years and truly inhabiting them with purpose and vitality. So if you felt yourself slowing down, if water doesn't seem to hydrate you the way it used to, if your circulation or stamina feels muted, remember this: you may not be failing. You may simply be undercharged, and the solution may be far easier, far more natural, and far more powerful than you ever imagined. Because when your hydration becomes electrical again, your life begins to feel electrical again too. Your energy returns, your balance steadies, your confidence rises, and you start to realize that age does not take your strength away. It only asks you to support it differently.